Yo, this man says, hopefully USC gets some respect today. Just saw that in the chat. Hey, thanks for being here, guys. I am RicoKnows. And, it is Tuesday, Big 10 and the MAC. We're going to talk about it, but first and foremost, I need to remind everybody, tonight is the Dana White Contender Series Week 5 matchups. I will be live streaming it on the Discord server only, okay? I just posted my video today on YouTube, on Patreon. If you want to know who's going to win the fights, become an MVP. It'll change your life. Now, we got wrecked last week on Dana White Contender Series, a minus 1,000. And in the world of UFC, that is a bona fide lock. That is somebody who's going to win without a doubt. A minus 1,000, a chiseled housewife, a mother from Canada with more veins popping out of her than your penis. She got starched, bro. Straight up, laid out, a one punch by some chick we couldn't find any film on from Peru or somewhere. One of them South American countries. It was wild, bro. It was the craziest thing ever. Glad I saw it. Did not feel good having MVPs lose on a parlay because of it, or picking the wrong side of the greatest upset of all time type stuff. But it's MMA. It's a one punch and it's over type thing, and it's volatile and it's fun when you're getting it right. And we're typically getting it right because we did turn around and go 10-2 this weekend on the UFC. That's a big deal because UFC Noche is Saturday, and my picks are already out. My post is already out. My advice on how to bet it, the props, everything is already out. Get to Patreon, get to the server, come find out. Now, before we start the show today, I want to talk about something, and I've had enough time to really let it marinate and think about it and how I wanted to approach the subject or the topic. And the topic is Tyreek Hill was aggressively pulled out of his car, and the world is up in arms about it. First thing I want to say is I don't like Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill is a substandard human. I can remember when he beat the hell out of his pregnant girlfriend. And if you or I ever did that, we'd all be in jail right now. But Tyreek Hill's rich, and he runs really fast. And in this society, we don't care what your character is. Can you run really fast? Or can you punch really hard? Shout out to John Jones. But these are career criminals or just substandard people, and I personally will never support them. I need you guys to understand, you might not like the way I talk about sports. You might not like what I have to say about certain things, but I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't break the law. And if I'm ever pulled over, and I was just pulled over in the last week, I comply. I'm very aware of what their job is and what they're afraid of. And what I'm going to refer to is no sudden movements. Don't do anything jerky. Don't reach for your back pocket. Don't reach for the glove compartment without asking. Don't reach for... Because these are police officers that want to get home. They have a tough job, and they don't know a routine pullover could be the end of their life. A routine traffic stop could be the end of their life. Now, that being said, I think the biggest issue here, if you haven't watched the body cam, please go watch the body cams. There's a bunch of them. I think the biggest issue here is a couple of things. First and foremost, I think it's utter ignorance versus utter ignorance. I think Tyreek Hill is an incredibly ignorant person who could run really fast. I think Tyreek Hill did the right thing initially, giving over his license. Rolling up your window is never okay. And the reason it's not okay, it's because your windows are tinted beyond belief, right? We can't see you anymore. And as police officers, having a visual on you and your actions is essential to their safety. That's why they tell you put your hands in the air, keep your hands on the dash, keep your hands on the wheel. All of those things are so they can see what your hands are doing. When you roll your window up and your tint is the darkest I've ever seen it, their safety is now a problem. It's now in jeopardy. And those Oompa Loompa looking those guys, as unprofessional as they are, as excessive as they are, that's the root of it, okay? The root of it is I need to be able to see you. Now, it just so happens rolling down the window is the lawful order they give or whatever. But If your windows weren't tinted, I don't think it would have been an issue. But the way the windows are tinted, there's an issue. Now, the teammates who pulled over and approached the traffic stop, Calais Campbell and John Smith, everybody's saying, oh my God, they were mistreated and aggressively and all this. Guys, if you've ever had a friend getting arrested, the last thing you should do is walk on over and see what's going on. You are not entitled to interrupt police officers doing their job, whatever that may be. I've driven down the road and I've seen a number of traffic stops in my life. If it ever escalates to the point of handcuffs and detainment, bro, do I keep driving. Man, do I keep driving and just enjoy the rest of my day. I'm not pulling over. I could know you. Oh shit, they got Johnny. I don't care, bro. I'm not pulling over. It ain't my place. Your desired intent is never going to be what you think it is. So while Calais Campbell very, very politely and came over on the phone with Drew Rosenhaus, their agent, they keep saying, call Drew, it's the agent. All of that is fine. I understand you're just trying to get clarity on the situation. Do not walk up on police officers arresting somebody. Just don't do it. You're going to end up arrested as well. It's not okay. You want to record it. You have every right to do that, blah, blah, blah. You don't block traffic. And you don't get to walk up and act like whatever they're doing isn't important. Because it is. And people need to understand this. When you see rich people disregarding law enforcement, remember, everybody's labeling this black. This is not black. This is rich. Could you imagine? What if it wasn't Tyreek Hill? If it wasn't Tyreek Hill, it would have been a very, very problematic situation because potentially when the window goes up, it could have been a criminal with a gun. And you can't see him pulling that gun up. There are countless videos on Real TV and Live PD of police officers getting killed like that. Just walking up to the door, walking up to the window, saying license and registration, pow! Why? Because you didn't know that guy had a warrant. You didn't know that guy had ill intent. They walk back with the driver's license to get blasted again. We've seen it. That's why police officers walk up at like a 45-degree angle, kind of back away from your passenger side door, some crazy shit. See it all the time, man. So I don't agree with these police officers. I think they're absolutely ridiculous. I think they're just little feisty little morons. They just remind me of Oompa Loompas. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory, the dudes who work in the chocolate factory, right? I just think between their utter ignorance and overly aggressive style and Tyreek Hill's inability to just follow instructions, you're going to escalate the situation to what it is. Okay, and it's an unfortunate situation at that, but it's not the end of the world, bro. This guy's not a martyr. Don't make him out to be some type of civil rights activist. He did an interview where he was like, what are we doing next? I guess we got to march, take a knee, nothing's working. We got to do something. Bro, shut up. How about you comply, stop speeding and driving like Henry Ruggs, follow the traffic laws like the rest of society. You're not special. You're headed to a game. You're headed to work. A lot of us get pulled over on the way to work, speeding. And we get a ticket on the way to work. We comply. I got pulled over. I gave over my license, registration. I had to show proof of insurance. I didn't just give my license and roll up the window. Nope. I don't understand the audacity and the privilege of the rich. The rich think they can pull over and ask what's going on to police officers and start interacting with their daily job. Those police officers suck as people. Got it. But you don't have every right to do that. You're going to get arrested. You're going to get handcuffed like everybody else. You're not special. Oh, I'm a football player. That's my teammate. Bro, shut the F up and get arrested with them. That's the reality of life. Okay, you're not special in that regard. You're just some fast dudes. Big, strong dudes. That's it. Ain't nothing special about it. So I think the police officers obviously handled it like some jackasses, but there's no rights activist thing here. It's just an idiot getting pulled over, and now he's crying racial cards and all kinds of other. Bro, you were speeding and you rolled up your window, they couldn't see what you were doing. Were they aggressive? Fuck yes. Was it unnecessary? Potentially. But so was you being defiant and rolling up your window and speeding. So were a number of things you were doing. So Tyreek Hill's not the spokesperson for this movement by any means, whatever movement it is. I just want you to know, Tyreek Hill is a piece of shit human being who's beat the hell out of a pregnant woman before. Tyreek Hill is not a good person. So don't be defending that dude at all. That being said, Oompa Loompas, get a grip, bro. Get a grip. Thanks for being here, guys. I don't want to talk about that shit anymore. Shout out to you. If you're watching the show, go ahead and drop a question, a comment in the show. I will get to you. We let it stack up. I'm sorry, I got to try to find something here. I don't mean to be looking over while the show's going on. There we go. Thank you guys for being here. Usually I live stream this on TikTok. We're not doing that this week. We don't care about them people. We care about YouTube, Patreon. Thank you guys for being MVPs. Thank you guys for being us. So we'll start with the news. Pretty simple. First news of the day, Kevin Jennings has been announced as the new starting quarterback for SMU. Now, I talked about the ACC yesterday. I told you, by the way, I had a tweet from August 26th. It might have been August 24th. But I made a tweet, and I told the world SMU has no desire to start Preston Stone. No desire to start Preston Stone. They just kept him in the rotation. They kept him in the billet because they didn't want him to transfer. They need the depth at quarterback. They wanted to keep both good quarterbacks on the roster, but they want to start Kevin Jennings. And I said this before the season, guys. You can go check Twitter. I reposted it today. I reposted it on the Discord server. I have the screenshot, the date timestamp. I said these guys have no desire to use Preston Stone. They want Kevin Jennings. Now they make it official. They want Kevin Jennings. And I just get messages, Rico knows, Rico knows, Rico knows. I kind of do this. Shout out to Nick Evers. He's recovering from concussion. It's probably a good thing. Probably a good thing that he's not playing because the other quarterback looked pretty good. Fagiano, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Fagano? He looked good. Cam Coleman, now doubtful. Marshall, wide receiver, wasn't going to go to Colorado at one point, but now he's at FAU, underwent foot surgery. I don't know if he's ever going to play. Nick McMillan out for week 3. Buffalo, they don't even get to their wide receivers all that often. Don't worry about it. Zach Evans, the Minnesota transfer, back for week 3 for North Texas. North Texas needs everybody. They look good. Riley Leonard injured versus NIU. If you didn't hear, he has an injured posterior labrum. Posterior meaning outside. Labrum, on the outside of his labrum. It's on the non-throwing shoulder, non-throwing arm. If you could have fooled me, bro. The way he played against NIU, I thought it was on his throwing shoulder. The old Riley Leonard came out in this week's game. And I'm going to talk about it on Friday. But I can talk about it a little bit today because we're talking about the MAC and NIU. Shout out to NIU. But Riley Leonard looked terrible. Just calling it like it is. Calling it like it is. Jack Turner slated to start against NC State. So La Tech, Jack Turner actually started some games last year. Was never impressed with Jack Turner, but he's back. And he's probably the best quarterback on the roster for La Tech. So he'll be starting against NC State. If NC State doesn't dominate that game, my over bet is screwed. Anyways, probable for Saturday, Theo Weeks from Missouri. Very good wide receiver. Former transfer from Oklahoma. Pretty good player. Brett Norfleet, still questionable. Dallin Hayden, doubtful for Colorado. Dallin Hayden not going to play. Doubtful means you're just not playing. I got news for you, 25% or less. And Colorado, he's probably their best running back. So now what are they going to do against Colorado State? Well, it doesn't matter. They're just going to keep throwing the ball. They have no desire to run the ball. We're going to see Charlie O, former walk-on. Charlie Offerdahl. Only Colorado fans think he's a good running back. I'm just letting you know. I watch him. Oh, man, he's a dog at practice. He's a dog. Do you guys understand that if Charlie O was at any other school, he would be like 6th string. 6th string. I don't have a list. I'm telling you. 6th string. Dallin Hayden out, doubtful. Colorado State's going to have more rushing yards than Colorado. I'm calling it now. Jaden Ott, considered day-to-day. It's unfortunate. Kyon Gray's the transfer from, was he transfer from Ohio State? Yeah, Ohio State transfer, considered week to week, wide receiver. Seth Anderson likely out versus Troy. Doesn't really matter. All Iowa does is run the ball. And Raleek Brown is a full go in practice. Y'all better wake the hell up. I hope Arizona State doesn't change anything when it comes to their method or their approach, because they've been doing amazing. And now they got Raleek Brown, the most explosive player on that roster. Got to figure out how to get him the ball, but don't get him in the way of our 1-2 punch in the running back room. Don't get him in the way. Like, just figure it out, but don't overdo it. Raleek Brown's special. I like him a lot. Former USC running back, former modern day great. I used to talk about him all the time. Loved him to death. So, it is the Big 12 and the MAC today, but before I get to it, I need to talk about Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson, this mother flipper right here is broke as a joke. What does it mean to be broke, Rico? He ain't broke. Hey, he ain't broke. All you guys always do that. Rico, why you pocket watching? They ain't broke. Mother flipper's broke. Broke. What does it mean to be broke? It means you can't pay your bills. That's what it means. Now, being broke is all relative. Remember, Michael Jordan was broke last year when he couldn't pay his bills, so he had to sell his team? Yeah, he had to sell his basketball team. It's because he was broke. Oh, he could never be broke. Yeah, he can. When you're in debt, $1.2 billion or $500 million. If you ain't got the liquid, you ain't got the liquid. And when I'm saying liquid, I'm talking about cash. When people don't have the cash to pay their bills and they got to start selling their assets, they're broke. That's how I feel, man. You're broke. Don't tell me no other way. This man right here is in trouble. $12 million debt. How did he get to $12 million debt? Well, he's got it now they're going to go take his assets. They just said you can see shit from his house. He's got stuff at his house. They're talking about boats, four-wheelers, ATVs, Polaris, all that shit. Got to go. His debt issues began when he took out a $5.2 million loan in 2016. Please understand this. These players, they got to flex. They got to flex for the Joneses. They got to just keep appearance. Why would you take out a $5.2 million loan? What are you doing that you need $5.2 million? What poor decisions are you making? You are one of the best. And this is in 2016. This man was at the peak of his football career. He stopped playing in 2021. But now that 5.2 has turned into 8.3 million. And now it's up to 12 million because he's not paying it. He's pulling a Shiloh. He's not paying his bills. It says no offsets have been made against this judgment to date, meaning no payments, nothing to address what he owes. The audacity of the rich. The audacity of the so-called rich. What am I going to see next? Him and Antonio Brown just throwing ones in the strip club, making it rain? The audacity of this man. Last played 2021. He's 39 years old, can't pay his bills. I promise you, I got more money than Adrian Peterson. That mother is broke. They're going to come take all his shit. And he got no income. Zero income. These guys are out taking loans. They got zero income. I'll never forget Latrell Sprewell. I was a sports writer in 2003, and Latrell Sprewell was doing contract negotiations. And they offered him a deal. Was it the Knicks? It was somebody who offered him a deal. NBA Latrell Sprewell, if you guys don't know him, he was a pretty decent basketball player. Infamous for choking his coach, Rick Carlisle. But he choked his coach at practice. It was caught on film. And back then, we didn't have cameras everywhere. So it was a really big deal. But this dude, Latrell Sprewell, gets a job offer. They gave him a contract offer. 3 years, $21 million. 3 years, $21 million. And this is 2003, bro. This is big money. And he turned it down, and the famous quote is, he said, I can't accept that. I got kids to feed. I got kids to feed. I can't take the $21 million. I got kids to feed. And the team pulled the offer, and no other team in the NBA gave him an offer. And he never played in the NBA again. Never. And 3 years later, he was getting his yacht repossessed. He owed $700,000 in back payments on his yacht. The fuck you own a yacht for? You don't even got a job. I say this to tell you guys, I have watched professional athletes for my entire adult life just make poor decisions, and they're ignorant. They don't have a clue what they're doing financially. But you don't have to, man. Hire people to do it for you. There was this guy, and I don't want to say his name, but there's this guy. He lived across the street from me, NFL football player. He went to high school at Thompson here in Georgia, Thompson High School. It's about 40 minutes down the road, 20 minutes down the road. And then he went to Georgia, played at Georgia, went undrafted, and as an undrafted free agent, he made it on the Patriots' Final 53. And he makes the Patriots' Final 53, and he gets the league min for 1 year. Then the next year, he gets cut, and he gets signed by the Lions, and I want to say the contract was like $600,000 for 2 years, back-to-back years. It was $1.2 million contract, but $600,000. This is a guy that ends up buying the house across the street from me. I live in this neighborhood called Canterbury Farms here in Georgia. A really nice neighborhood. Everybody kind of wants to live there. I buy a home there. I'm living there. This is about maybe 5 years ago. I'm living in my house, and I see this enormous man. He's a defensive tackle. He moves in across the street. And I thought, what a sensible thing. He bought a home that's affordable. He understands he just got $600,000 after taxes, after paying his agent. It's probably only maybe $200,000-$300,000 to his account, but okay. So let's just say it's $300,000. He's made it back-to-back years, $300,000. And he wasn't in the league long enough to get a pension. So once he gets cut by the Lions and he's no longer in the NFL today, I'm like, man, well, at least he got a house that he could afford and do all that. Bro, I'm watching this neighbor of mine. He lived directly across the street from me. I'm watching this guy, and he literally drops $400,000 worth of cars. Jeep, Rubicon, something, a Scat Pack, blah, blah, blah. Just cars parked on the grass, bro. I understand you come from nothing. Shout out to Thompson. But you just spent $400,000, and I'm just looking at him in the driveway, and I'm just like, oh my God, what are these payments got to be? Did you pay cash for all this? You got no money left. I'm doing the math, you got no money left. I'm going online, I'm like Sport Track. I checked his damn contract. I'm pocket watching. Because now I know the guy across the street from me is in debt, flat broke. He might be trying to steal my grill. He might be trying to steal from me. I'm pocket watching. I don't trust nobody, man. There's people making poor decisions all over the place. So all you guys glorify these athletes. And I'm looking at it like, man, this guy literally owes $12 million and they're coming to take his furniture. That's what they say when you ain't got a pot to piss in. So incredibly broke. Embarrassing, bro. Embarrassing. I would never do that in a million years. Never. I'll never overextend myself. These guys are gross. Taking out loans they can't pay back. Shout out to Vince Young. Happens to so many people. We just know the athletes, but it happens to musicians. It happens to a number of people. Movie stars, whoever. But if you've never had any wealth, there's no excuse. Just employ the right people. You know, I get into a position in life where I even walked into a meeting last week, and I just told the lady, I said, hey, listen, I'm a genius. That's what I told her. I'm a genius, but I'm ignorant in this regard. I don't have any experience with this. You are the subject matter expert. I need your assistance here. So please, educate me on the following things. And I had a ton of questions, and maybe the questions were dumb to her. Maybe she's like, what are you talking about? That's not an S Corp. That's an LLC. And I'm sitting there going, look, I need a corporate account. I need to do this. I need to do that. I've never done this before. And last year, I paid so much in taxes, I was like, man, being rich sucks. These guys going out and getting loans when you make how much money you make? Loans? Losing in court? I don't know how you sleep at night, bro. I don't know. Him, Antonio Brown, disgusting human beings, bro. And yes, he's disgusting. Beating the shit out of his kid with a switch. That's fine, man. Do you, bro. I hope you taught him to pay his bills. All right, let's get to it, though. Let's talk about these games. Big Ten. Big Ten. So, in the Big Ten, we had Indiana against Western Illinois Leathernecks. If you didn't know, the Leathernecks have not won a game in over 2 years now. They didn't win any games last year. They didn't win any games the year before. They do have a new coaching staff. They're trying their best. They got this kid, Nathan Lamb. They believe in him. Not today, buddy. Indiana broke every record in the world for their school records. They went out there and put up 77 points. They looked the part. By the way, this was an MVP level lock. The spread was 42, and I was just like, yeah, we're covering that. I was like, oh, we're playing Western Illinois. Yeah, Indiana, it's a lock. Believe it. They didn't let any props for this game. It was great. So, a couple things. Shout out to Kobe Martin, this true freshman running back. He looked pretty good. Looked pretty good. I went back and watched the game this morning. I was impressed with him. I feel bad for Kayleon Black. He's just not really in the rotation because Elijah Green passed him up. So you have Ellison, Lawton, and Green. You have 3 running backs, running back by committee, looking great. Rourke is making smart decisions with the ball. Only 2 incompletions in this game, but I don't really care about this game. I'm just talking about in general. Really cool. Another freshman, Charlie Becker, gets a carry. He's a wide receiver. Big kid. And he gets a touchdown there. But Elijah Surratt looks the part, complete stud. Omar Cooper, complete stud. And then Miles Price is a known commodity. Shout out to Solomon Van Horst. That's a JMU transfer. He's like a 4th string running back, but he's a kickoff returner. He's a return kind of guy. So to see him in the mix is pretty cool. I was hoping he'd get some running back play, but he's not. It is what it is. They look great. Aiden Fisher dominating at linebacker, doing his thing. Kamara, you can't block him on the defensive line, just was really active. Relentless pursuit. Looks the part. Hey, they're going to get tested soon. Sean Osbury, that's my hidden gem on this team. That's the transfer from ODU. Almost 100 tackles last year. He's a complete stud. Shout out to him. He does follow me on Twitter. And Jalen Walker, stud linebacker. The team's just got players everywhere. Sadarius Doss, former FCS All-American at corner. Same with D'Angelo Pons, former freshman All-American at corner. You got studs everywhere. The team's loaded. Got some good picks late in the game to seal the victory, pick 6 type stuff. Van Horst had a good kickoff return. I was impressed with everything. Impressed with everything. Never had to settle for a field goal. Just do what you do, man. Shout out to Indiana. By the way, I did put an overbet on them. I told the world about it. There's a video of me talking about Indiana winning 6 games this year. I've got them winning 8 games, but 6 is good enough for me. The over-under was 5.5. I have them at 6. Get like me. Next game, Northwestern Duke. We were on Duke this game, but I'll talk about Northwestern. Mike Wright trying his best. The weather was crazy. High winds and everything. Mike Wright can't do it. He's not that kind of guy. He is dual threat. Cam Porter broke on the long run to start the game, and then we never really saw him get back on track for the most part. They need more out of him, to be honest, if they want to win games. A.J. Henning, the Michigan transfer, actually hit his stride after not being used in week 1. It was the inverse, right? I thought Bryce Kurtz was going to be used. Didn't happen. And now I miss, and all the MVPs say, Rico, you missed on that prop bet. Yes, I did. That's life. I was wrong. Put it on the playlist. I was wrong. But they're still not where they need to be. They're not efficient on offense. They can't get it done when it really matters. I think it's a regression year for Northwestern. I don't believe in Northwestern like that. I'm just telling you. I don't. Northwestern being 1-1, very surprising. I didn't think they were going to beat Miami of Ohio. They're very stout against the run. Look at that. 30 carries, 93 yards. What they did to Miami of Ohio is stuff of legend. Right now, in the country, there are 2 teams. Well, the bottom 3 teams in America, when it comes to rushing yards, number 132 is Colorado with 75 yards. Number 133 is UCLA, and then I think dead last is Miami of Ohio in rushing yards as a team, which is crazy because they just had Rashad Amos and they were known for running the ball with their offensive line. They could not run against Northwestern. So they're the dead last team in rushing yards in the country. Oh, by the way, UCLA and Miami of Ohio have only played 1 game. Colorado's played 2 games, and they've got 75 yards rushing in 2 games. And Hayden's out? God, they suck. God, they suck. Ohio State, I'm going to talk about both these teams today but we're going to just keep it on Ohio State right now while I talk about the Big Ten, and then I'll get to the chat. Ohio State, 56-0, back-to-back weeks of absolutely dominating the MAC, right? So they beat up Akron the week before. Now they beat up Western Michigan. Western Michigan really didn't put up a fight. Their defense isn't as good as Akron's. And what I'll say is, Judkins went ham. Congratulations. It shouldn't be going like that, but he did. These numbers are crazy. This can't happen against an FBS team. This isn't really a fair fight, if you ask me. And then you look at Western Michigan. I'll talk about them later. Let me see. Do I have their box score up? Yes, I do. Okay, we'll be fine. At wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith. You better start betting on him, bro. You better start believing that guy's getting a touchdown every week. Jeremiah Smith looks like a grown man. And he's getting the lion's share of targets, production, touchdowns, everything. They're just calling it, and he's beating people on posts, fades. He can post corner. He can do anything, man. The route tree's open with this man. He's great. Defensively, they looked the part. There really wasn't much opposition to them. They're just out there doing what they want to do, manhandling people, nothing to really worry about. Their drives were just big gashing plays, and there was nothing that really surprised me in this game. Ohio State is one of the very best teams in America. Michigan. Let me tell you guys something. Michigan's a good team. They're a good team. They beat Fresno State. They're a good team. They got no business playing against these teams like Texas. God, they had no chance of scoring whatsoever. No chance of being relevant, I meant. No chance of being competitive. They don't have a quarterback. Not an FBS Power 4 starter. Not a chance in hell. And I've talked about it all offseason. I thought Sullivan, who was leaving Northwestern, would have been the starter if they were interested in him, and he went to Iowa to be the backup. Like, that's how bad it is. Remember, there's those hype videos telling you there's an orgy in the end zone. Alex Orgy's the quarterback. No, he's not. When Davis Warren throws 2 interceptions and you're getting blown out and you never go to Alex Orgy, coaches know Alex Orgy does not give them a chance to win. He does not give them a chance to win. Shout out to Donovan Edwards. You're not the bell cow back you thought you were. You're not carrying this team to victory. You're not Blake. You're not Corum. You're not any of that stuff. Like, these are just a bunch of random dudes. They got an NFL guy right here, and Colston Loveland, and he fumbled. So if your star player is a tight end, I don't know what you plan to do. But Michigan looks more like Iowa than they do Ohio State. Michigan looks like Iowa. And you're going to win a lot of games looking like Iowa, but you ain't going to be elite. It ain't happening. Defense eventually broke. Couldn't handle the team speed of Texas, throwing 2 interceptions. Just nothing about it looked good. No, it was an embarrassing performance by an elite program. But are they really elite? Are they really elite? They peaked for one season because of all the NFL talent, because of a great coach and stealing signs and whatever else you want to say. They peaked for one season. They're not going to be that good this year, and I don't know if they ever get back. Shout out to them. Smash. I had to see a bunch of hype videos of them saying smash. They're going to smash. Bro, whatever you smashed, it was not on the football field. It was not. All right. Boise State, Oregon. We're going to talk about Oregon. Oregon has looked very substandard. Very substandard this season. I would not rank Oregon in my top 10. People always tell me, Rico, you're missing them out of your top 25. If you watched Oregon play this year, squeaking out a victory over Idaho and squeaking out a victory over Boise State, do you think that's a top 25 team? I don't. No. So if we're just going off of 2024 performances, 2024 results, Oregon's not any good. They're okay. I'm not moved by this at all. Dylan Gabriel, still very accurate, has no continuity with Tez. And Tez is going to lose it, bro. The locker room's going to lose it. Jordan James carrying the workload. Excuse me. No diddy. Evan Stewart finally gets on the map after having a terrible week 1. He's here. Trayshawn Holden, the former Alabama wide receiver, transferred over 2 years ago. Trayshawn Holden's good. I like Trayshawn Holden. I do. Terrence Ferguson, a tight end, and there's nobody else being used, man. Look at Tez Johnson. How do you have Tez Johnson, an 1,100-yard receiver, 3 receptions, -1 yards? Like, what is that? What is that? Bro, you got to use your weapons, and he's a weapon. Fumbles. You won't win a game you're fumbling like this. I don't believe in you. The defense has players. Jordan Birch, the former South Carolina pass rusher, pretty good. They got players, but nah. Not impressed with this shit at all, bro. Shout out to them. Special teams won them the game. They won by 3, but special teams won them the game. Noah Winnington, Tez Johnson, this is what won them the game. That's it. Special teams. Their defense could not stop the run. Even a little bit. Ashton Jeanty going out there getting 192 on you. That's embarrassing. On only 25 carries? That's 7 yards a carry, bro? What? That's crazy. You can't be getting, that can't happen. You know they're not throwing it. They still threw it 40 times. They still threw it 40 times. They gave you a chance to win this game. They threw it 40 times and only completed 17 of their passes. This is terrible coaching decision by Boise State to throw it 40 times. I would have been running that rock the whole damn time. 40 attempts? I don't know what that's about. But that's how they lose the game. Oregon sucks, man. They better keep winning. By the way, I say Oregon sucks, but they do have the easiest path to 11 wins. They only have 2 hard games this year, not 3 like everybody else. So they only have 2 difficult games. They should get to 11 wins. They have the easiest path to 11. Real talk. Penn State, Bowling Green. We all saw this early on, went back and watched it. You guys know the deal. I've been telling you Harold Fannin is my number 1 tight end in the group of 5. I like Harold Fannin Jr. a lot. Watch the tape, number 44. Dude's a beast. Think he's an NFL player. And Penn State learned face first. 11 receptions, 137 yards, and a touchdown. Problem is Connor Bazelak is just okay. No running game. No running game is going to really matter. Against Penn State, you can't really run the rock on them like that, although it looked a little impressive. 4.7 yards a carry. But the reality here is Drew Allar came back down to earth. Drew Allar did not look good in this game. He didn't. He threw a pick. Almost 50% completion percentage. Drew Allar is not it. The only reason they were able to get back in this game is they slowed it down a little bit and they just started grinding out rushing yards. Just started grinding out carries and using their 2-back system. That's the only reason they were able to come back. Tyler Warren's their only semblance of receiving at this point. When we saw a bunch of receivers go deep and beat the hell out of West Virginia, then this week they all go mute. We don't see any of them. Only Tyler Warren's open. That will not win you games against the elite. That will not get it done. That will not get it done. No. Wasn't impressed with Penn State this week. And I was thoroughly impressed with Bowling Green. I told you guys they're my 4th best team in the MAC. I like Bowling Green a lot. And they came out to play. Good for them. But obviously, eventually they wore down. Congratulations to Penn State. And then we have USC. Let me tell you guys something. That's why preseason rankings are stupid. Because by every metric in the world, USC has outperformed Oregon. 100%. There's not a way to sit down and tell me that Oregon is better than USC based on this season's results. Not a chance in hell. USC beat LSU and obliterated Utah State. In a game like this, remember last year when USC was playing San Jose State and Nevada to open up the season? You saw teams like San Jose State and Nevada, you saw them actually score and be competitive with USC. That's not happening. USC is hitting like a ton of bricks, bro. Every play is violent. They got professionals all over the field. Miller Moss is a dark horse for the Heisman. I'm telling you, they look great. Elite. They look like a top 10 team. To rank them 13th is so disrespectful. Based upon the results, based upon what I've seen, they look great. That's the word I'm going to use. Elite. Dominant. It's impressive. So, Miller Moss does his thing. Goes out there, handles his business. They bring in Jaden Maeva, who, by the way, got a touchdown rushing. Woody Marks goes over 100 yards. This is a good 1-2 punch. Quentin Joyner and Woody Marks, they're not really scat backs. They're both kind of the same. They're just these big bruising dudes who are going to move the chains. And they're getting chunk yardage. Pretty good stuff. Okay? They need to find, they don't even have a running back that's a playmaker like that. They haven't recruited one. They haven't got one. They let Nate Frazier go all the way to Georgia. Nate Frazier would have been the good addition here, especially being at Mater Dei coming over, but he went all the way to Georgia. So you didn't get him. When you look at the receivers, their star receivers are Zachariah Branch and Kyron Hudson. Dudes with 4 receptions and 1 reception, nothing. No production out of them. And they win 48-0. Their best receivers are down here. This is the Division III kid who came in, Jaden Richardson. Lemon getting some playing time. Congratulations. Kyle Ford's a washed-up 5-star who didn't really amount to much. Looks really slow on tape, and he's slower in person. Woody Marks is a running back, and then Lake McRae's a fumbling tight end. Dude, the real players are down here, and somehow they still scored an amazing amount. That's crazy. I wish they got the ball to Zachariah Branch more. He'd be a Heisman hopeful. He looks the part. He's amazing. And Lake McRae ends up fumbling. Okay. Defensively, though, man, they were bringing the house. They had actually so many impactful plays from their secondary. I'm so impressed. Kamari Ramsey, the transfer from UCLA, he looks perfect in the system. Why? Came over with his defensive coordinator. He's playing great. You have this Arnold kid, former leading tackler out of Oregon State, playing great. Gentry, a linebacker, quality young man, playing great. They got dudes. They got players. It looks great. And I'm going to say something else. When you're playing against receivers like Jalen Royals and Kyrese White, and you shut them completely down, I'm so impressed. Do you guys understand how good Jalen Royals is? I'm going to pull it up for you guys so you guys can understand what you're dealing with here. Jalen Royals last year was a 1,000-yard receiver with 15 touchdowns. That dude got his numbers on everybody. Everybody. It didn't matter who it was. He got his numbers. Not today. Number one, getting shut down. And it's all because USC's defense is real. They're real. Shout out to them. Illinois. I think Illinois got outplayed in this game. And they still found a way to win. Obviously, the win is because of a pick six, but they got outplayed, man. I went back and rewatched it. I just was not impressed with their inability to run the ball. It's pretty scary. Luke Altmaier is out there doing his thing. Zachary Franklin had a great catch, one-handed grab, whatever, but he also fumbled. Pat Bryant, big player. They need to utilize him more. 3 receptions, 70 yards, not enough for me. It doesn't matter, though. They found the way to win. Caden Fagan's the big running back, the big kid who actually had to play last year due to injuries. And you got to get more than 2.5 yards out of him. You got to find a way to win. On the flip side, causing three interceptions, Jalen Daniels, career-high interceptions, it's a good move. It's what you want to do. And you're able to beat some of these stellar corners. Kobe Bryant, Mello Dotson, you're able to beat them for touchdowns, for big plays. But this all comes down to these Scott dudes right here. Miles Scott, Xavier Scott playing out of their mind. And Xavier sealing the game and getting it done. That essentially won them the game, the pick six. Shout out to them. On the flip side, if you're Kansas, you got to fix your offensive line. And I don't think you have the personnel to do it. But you got to give your quarterback more time to throw. Let him get more comfortable in the pocket. 4.4 yards an attempt is terrible. And that's because there's some really good DBs at Illinois. There really are. Shout out to them. They did not stop Devin Neal. Kansas is still a good team. Minnesota, oh man. So Minnesota, Max Brosmer finally plays the way we saw him play last year in the FCS. And that's because he was playing against an FCS team. Feels really comfortable when he's up against an FCS team. And he looks the part. I hope he can do this again against real competition. Devin Farrell, the Virginia Tech transfer, stunk it up so bad he got benched. Max Brosmer goes out and does his thing. Darius Taylor did not impress me, but he's back and he's healthy and he got to play in the game. I want to talk about Saban Gore for a second here. Saban Gore is at fourth utilized running back, getting 1 carry for 6 yards. What do you think he feels right now? This is a former 1,000-yard rusher leaving Ohio. Ohio needs all the help they can get, and you leave a school that you averaged over 900 yards rushing two seasons in a row, and you leave for 1 carry and 6 yards in 2 games now. You get no playing time in Minnesota. He has 2 years of eligibility, but I bet he regrets this transfer immensely. It's crazy. Is he in the doghouse? I don't know, but they're not utilizing him, and he's a really good running back. Really good running. Better than Marcus Major. Way better. Marcus Major, 7 carry, 12 yards on the FCS? Get out of here, bro. Your first you went was 3 yards? Get out of here, dude. Receiving. Trying to utilize your receivers. I've been talking about this for 2 years now. Elijah Spencer is him. Elijah Spencer is a good receiver. He used to lead Charlotte in receiving 2 years ago. So when he transferred to Minnesota, I expected him to be utilized. It's nice to see him get the targets and get some receptions. Throw it to Darius Taylor, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. He's your best player. Then there's Daniel Jackson. So between those three, we need to figure some shit out. I'm not worried about anybody else. Get it to Elijah Spencer. Let him do his thing. Shout out to Jack Henderson. I talked about him last week. I said he hits really hard. White safety, FCS transfer. I like the kid. Coming out here and doing his thing. Who else do I want to talk about? Really nobody. I want to tell you guys that Jack Henderson for me is a playmaker. I believe in that kid all day long. I'll always talk about him and think very highly of him. I'm still concerned over Minnesota missing field goals. We know Dragon can make kicks, they say. He's made game winners, but he missed a game winner the week before, and he still missed another one. Once a kicker loses his confidence, it's pretty bad. So he better do his thing. Now, he made a 53-yarder, so you can't get mad at that. But Minnesota, they need to figure it out, man. They really do. Good win. You win 48-0. Can't be disappointed. You covered the spread. They better figure it out. I think they're blood. When I see teams losing, 90% of the time, it's the coaching staff has the wrong people on the field. Like they have misevaluated their talent. And they got the wrong players in the wrong positions and the wrong places on the field. Yep. And they think they got it right, and they don't. And that's why they all get fired and they don't have jobs anymore. Reality. Iowa State beating Iowa. Congratulations, Rico. I called it. It happened. Let's talk about Iowa, though. We're not talking about Iowa State. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Cade McNamara, you suck. Cade McNamara, 13 for 29, 99 yards passing. Oh, my goodness. 2 interceptions. Gross. I know it's impossible to pass on Iowa State. Iowa State has such an amazing defense, such an amazing secondary, and they let it show for everyone to see. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, running. Caleb Johnson ran all over your ass, and you weren't stopping him. That's scary to me. You can't let that happen, especially in the Big 12. But congratulations to Iowa for finding a running game, doing their thing. Now, Caleb Johnson, I believe, is injured. Injured, but probable. Something like that might happen. No receivers matter. We can't get him the ball. We're throwing for 99 yards a game. It's bad. Defensively, absolute studs. Jay Higgins, Nick Jackson, the Virginia transfer, one of the greatest tacklers in the world. And just great players everywhere. But look at how many defenders they used in this game. They only played their starters the whole time, and it really didn't get it done. Nope. You give up a 54-yard field goal for the game winner, I believe. You give up a 54-yard field goal. And for me, good teams find a way to win. Good teams find a way to win, and that's all there is to it. Get mad all you want, but you got to find a way to win, especially if you're winning 13-0 at half. You can't fall apart like that. You're winning 13-0 at half, and you know nobody's going to score on you. Come on, man. You guys suck. Speaking of not getting scored on, Rutgers went out there and handled Akron. Just almost as good as Ohio State did. Went out there, did it. Hey, Virginia Tech transfer, Taj Bullock. Congratulations. He finally got in the game because Ben Finley looked so bad. That's fine. Ethan Kaliakmanis throwing 3 touchdowns. I'm still not impressed. Still not getting it done. I don't care. I don't care about the stats. Go watch the tape. It doesn't impress me. Monungai went for 200 yards on 27 carries. They're running the hell out of that ball, and rightfully so. Jordan Simmons gets 100 yards. Don't believe this. This happened in the fourth quarter. It was one free play for 73 yards. It's also their only touchdown. Well, they had another touchdown, but it's the only one that really surprised me. The game wasn't this close. It was 49-10. So Jordan Simmons breaking, not a big deal. They shut down Charles Kellum, who I expect big things from. They even tried to get him the ball in the receiving game. It didn't happen. Akron's just going to struggle offensively, but my goodness, do they have a good defense. They just end up breaking. There's just too much, and they couldn't stop the run in this game. On the flip side, Rutgers did their thing. Shout out to Rutgers. They're going to find a way to win. Let's get it done. You're 2-0. I predicted they would hit the over. They would win at least 7 games. I put my money where my mouth is. I need them to get it. I need them to get it. Michigan State, Maryland. First game I really, really enjoyed watching. I went back and watched it again this morning, and when I watched it, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And the reason is this. Maryland, I don't think very highly of. I was very low on Maryland in the offseason, ranked them pretty bad. I don't think Maryland's very good. Then they come out and beat UConn in week 1, and they look like world beaters, and I'm like, oh, shit, maybe Maryland's good. No, I know they're not good. I'm still convinced they're not good. They have 3 corners. Husky transferred in from Bowling Green, and then they got these 2 other kids. They're all over 6 feet tall. They have the right size players, like the way they think they need for the metric and stuff, but I'm telling you, they can't play football. They couldn't play football. This Nick Marsh kid right here, Nick Marsh is a true freshman. 6'3", 200 pounds, 6'4", whatever he is. Nick Marsh, big kid, 4-star. Oh, man, did Nick Marsh take everybody's lunch money. And so much so, the fourth quarter, Nick Marsh has 4 catches in the fourth quarter and 2 really big ones on the final drive to get them to win the game. Nick Marsh came to play, bro. Between Nick Marsh, Jerron Glover, who's injured, I hope he gets better. We got to keep an eye on that. And Jack Veiling, they got 3 targets. They can make it happen. I really believe in them. They said they got to run the ball better. 30 carries, 130 yards. They said they got to run the ball better. That's what Coach said. Jonathan Smith said it. But they were throwing the hell out of the rock. 363 yards. Aiden Childs still throwing 3 interceptions. Doesn't take care of the ball, man. It looks like he just makes some terrible decisions. But get the ball to Nick Marsh. We might have something new here. We might have something new. Nick Marsh looked great. On the flip side, Billy Edwards looked like I expect him to look. He actually played pretty decent for the most part. There was no run game. Michigan State's linebackers are elite. They got 4 of them. 4 linebackers that are elite. They have Turner, the transfer from Wisconsin, Cal Halliday, and then 2 more. I'm forgetting their names. It'll come to me when I watch the tape. They got 4 linebackers that are elite. Stopping all the run game. Ain't shit happening up front, bro. Maryland, I don't want to hear about nothing. Hemby ain't getting his yards. They're not doing it. Ty Felton's still open. Ty Felton's still open. 11 receptions, 152 yards, and a touchdown. Congratulations. Like I said, for me, it was Turner, Halliday, Matthews. My bad. Wayne Matthews, ODU, complete stud. And who's the other guy? Oh, man, it's not Dallas. It's not Spencer. Is it Spencer? Definitely these 3. My God. Who's the other one? Forgetting his name. Doesn't matter. I'm looking right at it, but it doesn't matter. They're great. On the flip side, I like Jalen Husky a lot when I watch him on tape. That dude's a special player. I know he follows the channel. Shout out to you, Jalen. He was my hidden gem from Maryland. I like him a lot. Complete stud. And he had an interception in the game. But what did I want to talk about? Yeah, I just think that what I wanted to say is I think that Michigan State, although they haven't looked good, they're 2-0. They're 2-0, and I had them on the over for the win totals because I believed in Jonathan Smith. I hope they get it together, but they're 2-0. A team that's getting it done is Washington. I didn't expect this. They look really clean doing it. Will Rogers looked great. 4 touchdowns, only 5 incompletions. Shutting down the rushing attack from Eastern Michigan. I don't know why Eastern Michigan keeps giving Dante McMillan more carries. Like, he ran good in this game, but not really. That dude's just, I don't know. On tape, he's just bad. So is Dilbert Mims. There's better running backs on the bench at EMU. There's 3 guys on the bench that I really, really like. There's a freshman, JT Brona. There's another freshman he's a redshirt freshman from last year. Man, what's his name? Maybe Dion Brown? Something like that. They got players on the bench that I like. They're playing the wrong people. It is what it is. Shout out to Jonah Coleman, dominating. You guys should know Jeremiah Hunter. He was the leading receiver at Cal last year. He transferred in. Finally got to play. Finally got to do his thing. Complete stud. Hey, freshman Decker DeGraff is a freshman. Went out there and did his thing. Congratulations. Getting playing time and making the most of it in a blowout. But, yeah, Washington, sneaky good, man. Zach Durfee. He's a lower-level guy who transferred in. He's a pass rushing specialist, and he showed it. 2.5 sacks. That's what he does. He gets sacks. He rushes and does his thing. And Washington's sneaky good right now. Somebody better be paying attention. I said they're going to fall off. They are. They're not going to be national championship caliber, but they're sneaky good. Wisconsin. All right. Let's talk about it. So this is a game where Wisconsin should have won by so many points that they played backups. They should have had other people in the game, and they didn't. They never got to them. They had to play their starters, and they were in a competitive game. They didn't cover the spread. It didn't look good. You score 14 points in the first quarter, and then just dog shit the rest of the way. I will say that if Cade Giacomelli is your leading rusher, you're not doing it right. That guy has the least amount of talent of all the running backs listed here. I'm serious. If we were doing tryouts and looking at talent, less than all of them. There's Ches Malusi, the Clemson transfer. Remember, Cade is a transfer. No, Cade's been here for a while. Ches is a transfer. Jackson Akers been on the team for 3-4 years. He should be third or fourth string. These are not starting running backs. Wisconsin's starting them. They're starting running backs, but they normally would not be starting running backs. Like Braylon Allen didn't have to go to the league. Isaac Rorindo didn't have to transfer to Louisville. These are not starting running backs. They're all backups. And even if they were at their old school, their previous school, they would be backups. That includes Tawee Walker, who transferred in from Oklahoma. Ches, who transferred in from Clemson. These guys would be backups at their current schools. So what you have at Wisconsin is a Power 4 team with backups. Just straight up. They're just not even real. Like Tyler Van Dyke, if he was still at Miami, he'd be backing up Cam Ward. I'm just calling it like I see it. These are all backups. The only two guys that I'm even remotely excited about are Darion Dupree and Dylan Jones. And Dylan Jones, to me, is super special. I watched tape on both these guys. I made videos and talked about them in the preseason. If you watched the wins total video, I told you guys, man, I was watching tape on these two. And I know there are 3 running backs on this depth chart. I talked about this. Oh, my God, if you go watch the Wisconsin Futures video, I go, look, they got Malusi, Giacomelli, and Aker on the depth chart, and that's all they have. 3 upperclassmen, this is who they're going to war with. And I said in the video, I said, guys, there are 2 freshmen coming in that are better than those 3 dudes. And they're freshmen, so it's going to take a while till they start getting reps. But they're better than those 3 guys. And they're going to be NFL caliber when they're done. It's just a matter of getting there. So you think you have 3 upperclassmen taking all the reps, and here we are in week 2 in a non-blowout game, and we're giving these freshmen carries and giving them looks on the field because they're better. They're more talented. They're special, man. And there's a 3rd freshman. He's going to redshirt, I'm sure. There's a 3rd one. I watched all the tape on every player on every team. Wisconsin's got a problem. C.J. Williams gets a big catch, and then, he leads the team in receiving. But C.J. Williams, former modern-day star, former USC bench warmer. I like C.J. a lot. Shout out to C.J. Williams, friend of the channel, does follow me on TikTok. Will Pauling is still the alpha male in this receiver room. They need to get him the ball more. I don't like the way Phil Longo's offense looks right now. I don't like the way Wisconsin looks right now. They don't give me a warm and fuzzy. Trench down there. Trench is good, man. Trench is a good player. Where did he transfer to? Bishop Gorman for his senior year? He's a Hawaii kid, but I think he played at Bishop Gorman his senior year. These are good players from good high school programs. Just not getting it done because your quarterback isn't that good. You're not getting it done because you're just not that good. That's real. I'm keeping it real. South Dakota's star running back, Charles Perry, 83 yards, bro. 7 yards a carry. You think they only average 4 yards a carry because of the quarterback sacks. 7 yards a carry. An FCS team. Nah. Hunter Waller's still still making all the tackles. Jaheim Thomas is great. Transfer from from Arkansas, but he's really from Cincinnati, so he's linking back up with his old coaching staff. I love Jaheim Thomas. Think he's the best player on the defense. And then they got Tackett Curtis in the game, the USC transfer. He's not really supposed to be in the game. He played good. But Jake Chaney got ejected in the second half for targeting, and so you got to bring in Curtis, and Curtis played good. So now that Tackett Curtis has played, he's going to have to play the first half of this week's game. He's going to have to play well before they can get him back. Ricardo Hallman, complete stud last year, 7 interceptions. Elijah Hills. Like, they got players, bro. Hey, Fort Queen. That's a Division II transfer out of Grand Valley Rapids? Grand Valley State. Yeah. The GLIAC. I think it's Grand Valley State. Anyways, Trench is here. They won the game. Not impressed with Wisconsin. Not hitting on all cylinders. Speaking of hitting on all cylinders, shout out to Nebraska. I heard Colorado fans are excited that they shut out Nebraska in the second half. If you go back and watch the game, first down. Nebraska had 11 opportunities on first down in the second half. And out of those 11 opportunities, 10 times they ran the ball. One time, they threw one incompletion. They were just running the ball, going straight vanilla in the second half. If there's anything to take away from this game, it is that high-powered Colorado offense did not score a touchdown until the fourth quarter. Nebraska was stifling. They were dominant up front. They had like 6 sacks in this game. They didn't allow any less than a yard a carry, less than a yard rushing. That's wild. Nebraska looked great. They did. Dante Dowdle's putting people in the hospital. Ja'Cory Barney. Ja'Cory Barney is a freshman, true freshman. He's a wide receiver. They gave him a couple carries on some end arounds, but he's a wide receiver. It's nice to see him get out there and get some playing time. Impressive stuff. Didn't matter, man. You get to play everybody. That's what you're doing. I like it. Look at all these sacks, bro. MJ Sherman. That's a Georgia transfer. You manly. He works harder than his brother. Willis McGahee the fourth. How many Willis McGahees we going to get, bro? Hey, shout out to Nebraska getting it done. And my God, did Colorado embarrass themselves. We knew this was coming. Told you Colorado just dog shit, bro. Terrible coaching staff. And that's everybody. That's the results for the Big Ten. Let me talk about this week's games coming up. Alabama, Wisconsin. I believe it's an MVP level lock, so I won't talk about it. It's on the chart. If you want to know about it, become an MVP. You'll get my predictions and you'll make a lot of money. Arkansas State, Michigan. It's not on the chart, but I'm going to tell you, Michigan should really put a hurt on Arkansas State. Arkansas State, yes, they're 2-0 and they have a dynamic quarterback, but they're not any better than Fresno State. So this should, like, this spread here, Michigan should win by 30. They should. Theoretically, they should win by 30. I don't like this spread at all. Arkansas State is kind of athletic in certain places. Michigan's stifling. And what they did to Fresno State really let me know where they're at. Don't get it twisted. The way they got beat by Texas, Texas can beat everybody by a lot of points. What I saw Texas do to Colorado State let me know how good Texas is. It wasn't what they did to Michigan. It's what they did to Colorado State. So I think Michigan's going to win this game pretty handedly. Illinois, Central Michigan, MVP level lock. Don't ask. Oregon State. It's a rivalry game. Big brother versus little brother. Both undefeated. They're giving Oregon 16.5. In the preseason, I would have laughed and said Oregon by 30. Seeing Oregon State churn out a 2 running back system right now. They got Anthony Hankerson, who, by the way, has over 200 yards rushing. Do you think he regrets transferring out of Colorado? This is a young man that went to St. Thomas Aquinas High School, transfers, leaves Colorado, transfers to Oregon State, and he's rushed for over 200 yards. He has more rushing yards than the entire Colorado team. And he's probably ecstatic that he left. But between him and Jam Griffin, they're doing their thing, man. They're just lining up and smashing it. Boise State did it. Why can't Oregon State? I still like Oregon to win the game. I don't think they covered that spread. I think Oregon's played so bad, and what I've seen against Idaho, I don't think they cover that spread. It's not on the chart, but I don't think they cover that spread. Notre Dame, Purdue. Notre Dame is 10-point favorites over Purdue. How embarrassing is that? How embarrassing is that? Absolutely embarrassing. Notre Dame should be able to run the ball, but I don't trust Riley Leonard throwing this thing. Not against that type of defense. Remember, Purdue's head coach, Ryan Walters, was the defensive coordinator at Illinois when he was the defensive coordinator of the year. He really knows what he's doing, getting the most out of his players. I really like Purdue to improve. I think Purdue has a better quarterback than Notre Dame. Hudson Card is more athletic. Hudson Card is a better player. Hudson Card just went 24 for 26 in a fucking college football game. Riley Leonard could never do that. You can't do that on air. You can't do that in the backyard with your friends. I'm just letting you know. Michigan State, they're very injured. They're debilitated. They got an injury on offensive line, and they look disheveled on it. One of their star receivers is hurt. I don't believe in him, or I don't believe in that. They got to figure some shit out. And they got a whole week to do it. Prairie View is going to get smashed. I don't know what the line's going to be, but Michigan State's going to go out there and put up some points and shut them down. Minnesota, Nevada. Sneaky good game for Nevada. Look at this. Minnesota's getting 16.5. Nevada's a good team, man. They're coached really well. They're getting the most out of their team. Dual threat quarterback can get first downs. Nevada looks stout. Don't get it twisted. Nevada looks all right. Yep, they beat Troy. They look all right. I don't know if Minnesota's covering that spread. I don't know. I wouldn't put my money on it. Washington State, the Apple Cup. Can Washington stop a dual threat quarterback? Because that's what Washington State has. Man, it's going to... Knee-jerk reaction tells me the over is in play in this game. I know it could be a rivalry game. It could be really close, so I've got to be careful. But 55.5, I like the over, man. I like Will Rogers to go out there and dice it up a little bit. Washington State to retort back and score. Yeah, these are two undefeated teams. Man, give me 60 on that. I like the over in that game. Troy and Iowa, my goodness. Troy, not going to win. And I don't know how Iowa gets 22 points. You know what? I don't like that number. You can make your money elsewhere. Leave it alone. Iowa's winning the game. By how much, I don't know. Nebraska taking a week off, playing Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa, undefeated. Don't sleep on them. Indiana, UCLA. I think it's an MVP level lock, but I'll talk about it. I like Indiana a lot. I like Indiana in this game. I think they're a better team. I think they're more talented. They have better coaching. They have better everything. Indiana's better at every position group. Every position group is better at Indiana than UCLA. Every single one. Indiana, they're starting the season 6-0. So let's go. They win this game, money line. Don't care about the -3. It's irrelevant. Give me money line Indiana. I like it. Northwestern, Eastern Illinois. Northwestern's going to really hurt them and shut them down. Maryland, Virginia. Fucking coin flip, if you will. I don't like Maryland's chances, man. That's saying something crazy. Maryland's favorite 2.5. I wouldn't mind putting money line Virginia. I wouldn't mind on it at all. But I prefer the over in this game. Immensely. The over, I think it should be at 60. The over is real. For all you gamblers out there. Now, before I get into the MAC, I'm going to jump over to the chat. Thank you guys for being here. We've been going at this for a little while. Oh, my goodness. I've been talking. Let's go see what you guys want to talk about. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Let's talk about it. I will interact with the chat in a second. Give me a second. Interact. Let's scroll it up. Zach with a fact. I like the name. Zach with a fact. Zach with a fact says, my GOAT. What up, homie? I'm your GOAT? Dude, I appreciate that, man. I'm the greatest of all time. You know, I went to Discount Tire today. I was getting a new tire on my car. And the guy that was helping me with the tire, he looks at me and he goes, Are you famous? And I just started laughing. I said, no, sir. I said, I'm just a guy. Just a guy. I'm just chilling. He goes, I swear I've seen you before. I said, oh, where's that? He goes, on the internet. He goes, and he started telling me he does a podcast on YouTube. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, well, you know, he says, hey, man, what's the trick? What's the goal? And I said, the trick is to work harder than anybody could ever imagine when nobody's looking. And I think that's a trait all the GOATs have. Whether it's me, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Emmitt Smith. I'm naming all the GOATs. No, to be a GOAT, like to be the greatest of all time, whatever, you got to put in the reps, man. You got to work hard. So I appreciate you for saying it. I put in a lot of work, and I take a lot of pride in it. Thank you for being here. Josh Song says, hopefully USC gets some respect today. I don't know what I said about him. I don't remember, but I can tell you that I thoroughly respect USC. If you saw my top 10 or my top 25, it's on Twitter. I did my college football week 3 top 25. USC's in my top 10. Yeah, they get all the respect in the world from me, bro. Shout out to Gary Clark. What up, Rico? What up? He said, fair point. I don't know what you're saying fair point to, but I agree. Remember, by the time I get to these comments, you got to be more specific. You got to write out everything you're talking about. You got to write it all the way out. I have no clue what you're talking about by the time I get to it because it's been about 30, 40 minutes, right? SMU benching Stone for Jennings. Good move. This is not an ACC podcast. That was just in current events. I will not be talking about that unless it's the ACC. Please go watch yesterday's show. That's all I can tell you. I covered the ACC on Mondays. Kairos MMA says, is there any universe where Oregon is sandbagging it, so that's why their performances look this way, or are they really this underwhelming? Can they be a top 3 Big Ten team playing like this? So first and foremost, a lot of questions there. There is no way they're sandbagging it. No way. They're playing their starters. They have really good completion percentages. They're using all their plays. They're doing everything they can, and they're trying to stop the run. They're trying to win games. Another thing, if you want the best at-large bid, if you want one of the best at-large bids, you got to be impressive all season long. This is the playoffs, 12 seeds. You do not want to be out there looking okay in certain weeks. You want to know why teams are putting up 70 points every week? It's because they know at the end of the season, they're going to be talking about point differential margins or how you looked on national TV, like Tennessee, things like this. So they're going to put up points. Expect to see blowouts. Oregon is just not gelled. Oregon's a bunch of individuals who come together. They just met each other for the first time, bro. I don't know if you guys know how that works. I can tell you. You spend a while there. You don't trust each other. You don't know who's got who's back. If you were in the Army and you were told, let's protect this perimeter, we give everybody a sector of fire. We say, you watch from this point to this point. You watch from this point to this point. You watch from this point to this point. And then you're there in the prone and you're watching your sector of fire. You hear a noise from the left. You don't look. You trust that your battle buddy's got your side. You trust that somebody's got your back and somebody's watching the other side, that the perimeter hasn't been breached. You don't trust people you don't know. These guys are playing, they're not playing for one another. Right now, they're all trying to do each other's jobs. I'm watching them run routes with 2 players in the same fucking route. Like, they'll run like 2 receivers in the same zone. You're like, what? There's no way that it looks like that on paper. What is this? 2 linemen will down block and leave the outside guy to come get a clean shot at their quarterback. Like, just dumb stuff. They're not communicating well. They have no continuity together. None. And you're never going to win without continuity. That's real. So, can they be a top 3 Big Ten team playing like this? No. Big Ten. Ohio State, USC, Penn State. Those are the best teams I've seen playing. In the Big Ten, the best 3 teams that are playing. And Nebraska's right there. Like, Oregon, for me, is not a top 10 team. Oregon looks like a top 30, 35 team. They're struggling with group of 5 teams, man. They're struggling with FCS teams. You don't see that from the elite of the elite. And I know Penn State just struggled with Bowling Green, but there's a huge difference. They dismantled West Virginia. Now, Oregon better get it together, because I got a futures bet on Oregon. They better get it together. Pride comes before the fall. Happens to many rich and famous athletes, etc. Hidden Hawaiian. You're talking about the money. Yeah. I don't even know if it's about pride, bro. I think it's about utter financial illiteracy. I even think some of these guys are illiterate. Like, they just can't read. That's what I think. I think they're just dumb as fucking all get out. Serious. Some of them. Yo, Rico, do you go over the Kansas game? Did you go over the Kansas game? I don't know. Rewind the show, go back. You can watch it, and then you can go to 1.5 speed and catch up. We saw the success of NIU's O-line against a formidable front. I don't think any of those players from Wisconsin were major recruits. So what's the secret? Continuity, age, or something else? Are you talking about NIU? Bro, NIU's got a daunting offensive line. They're some of the best. The trick to the trade here is continuity, seniority, development. Players want to get development, all that stuff. It's the reality of the situation. NIU's got a senior Latin offensive line. They got a really good offensive line. I rated them, the best, one of the very best offensive lines in the MAC. Go back to week 0 and watch it. I seriously did. I think NIU's offensive line impressed me the most. And their coach used to be a really good running back at NIU. He's a running back. He knows how to coach these guys. He knows how to game plan a running game. And when I get to NIU right now, when I go over the results, you're going to see, there was no stopping. Not even in the receiving game. Not even in screens. No, Notre Dame just, quarterback play wasn't up to par and your defense falls apart. Armin says, good to see you, Rico. Man, this weekend is going to be one for the ages. UFC Noche, and I love the picks for this weekend. Let's have some fun. Shout out to Armin, one of my UFC MVPs. Remember, I have college football MVPs. I have MMA MVPs. Most of the MVPs that join me in the offseason are the MMA guys, and they're just meeting the football guys for the first time, and they're like, what the hell? Why are these guys asking so many questions? Why don't they know what's going on? But at the end of the day, on Saturdays, we live stream the college football games as we start the day. But once the pay-per-view card starts, we shut off the live stream. We go straight to the Discord server, turn on the stage, and we watch all the fights for the night. That's what we do. Shout out to the MVPs, and we win a lot of money watching UFC. So shout out to them. If you want to watch the fights this weekend and you want to get real commentary and betting advice, come watch it with me. This is what I do for a living. Shout out to Armin. He wins a lot of money. He is an annual MVP. MVPs who pay month to month, I thank you. I thank you, but if you want a discount and you want to be in on this the whole year, become an annual member. You can only do that on Patreon. YouTube doesn't allow it. Go to Patreon, become an MVP for the whole year. Tez Johnson, -1 yard. Yeah, it's crazy. Thank you, Danton Lynn. Yeah, he looks great. He looks like he's doing all the right things at USC. Lewis Henton, Roll Tide Roll. Good to see you, man. Alabama fan. Mike says, I watched the video you made about Dante Dowdle, running back in Nebraska, saying he sucked and Matt Rule can't pick talent when transferred. Yeah. That's how I felt about him. And now he's playing pretty good. There's something called development. It happens. You know, you can evaluate a player when they're 16, 17, 18 years old. And then they get to a school and they get the right coach and they get the right scheme. And they get the right, I guess, fire under their ass. And they become great. They develop into players. That's the luxury of making an assessment on a player and not having to lock it in for the rest of his life. Wouldn't that be something? If everybody's going to do that, when you make an assessment on a player, and then 3-4 months later, or a year later, or seasons later, whatever it is, in this case, I think it's like 9 months later, you see improvement, and then all of a sudden you're not allowed to identify the improvement. Because somebody on the internet goes, oh, I saw you once said this guy sucked. Players improve, man. People develop. People get older. It's called being a late bloomer. Players believe in themselves, believe in their development. They get the right coaching, and they become better. That's, Terrell Davis was a 6th-round draft pick, bro. In the Hall of Fame. I just watched some dude be the last pick in the draft playing for the 49ers last night at quarterback. Shout out to Brock Purdy. People get better. It happens. Hudson Card is such a stud. I think he is. Connor Formia says, Rico, who are your top 3 to 5 quarterbacks in the Big Ten? Oh, man. Big Ten. Give me a second. I'm going to do something. Because I don't ever want to miss somebody. So I'll pull it up on the screen here in a second. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing, but you will when I get there. Big Ten. So if we're talking about preseason and we're talking about stuff like that, when you look at the quarterbacks, number 1 would obviously be Dylan Gabriel, and he's still putting together the most statistical significant season, especially the completion percentage. So it would have to be Dylan Gabriel. Number 2 for me in the Big Ten is Miller Moss. And then number 3 is going to be Luke Altmaier. Luke Altmaier is playing out of his mind. I don't know what's going on down here. I don't care. Luke Altmaier is playing great. That's my 3rd best quarterback in the Big Ten. Dylan Gabriel, Miller Moss. Ooh, did I just forget Hudson Card? How do I not pick Hudson Card? Let me go Hudson Card. Dylan Gabriel, Miller Moss, Hudson Card. Those are my big 3. 4th would be Luke Altmaier, and then 5th would be Will Rogers. There you go. Those are my top 5, 3 to 5. Good question. I appreciate you, Connor. Rico, also, that graphic under you should be about the Big Ten and the MAC, not the SEC and SBC. Whoa. Thank you, bro. That's just hard work, just getting overwhelmed. I had to make a Dana White Contender Series video today. I had to watch a lot of regional fights for that, and it takes a lot out of me. I apologize. Thank you for the correction. That's crazy. Is that the way it was on the countdown? And we're back. Thanks for being here. Let's talk about the MAC. Thank you, Connor. Let's talk about the MAC. The Mid-American Conference. I already talked about it at length, but obviously Western Michigan was no match for Ohio State. That happens. What I do want to talk about, though, is their running back room. Keyshawn King, former leading rusher from Virginia Tech, finally got some carries. Didn't look good. I mean, it's Ohio State. They're very dominant up front. And then Jaden Nixon, the transfer from Oklahoma State. And I don't think he's a natural running back, but they say he's talented and he's fast. So here he is. And that's that. Where's Buckley, bro? Buckley, the most fragile running back I've ever seen. Jalen Buckley's your best player, and he's always hurt, and he's never ready to play in a full game. It just sucks. That's a 1,000-yard rusher that we really believe in, and he's just never here. Wish he was there. Star wide receiver, not here. So they're having to pick up, with scraps. Can't do that against Ohio State, so they stand no chance. Absolutely getting smashed. Love Cone at DB, two pass breakups. Tall corner transferred in from Indiana State. The Sycamores. Tate Halleck transfer from Michigan State. Big kid, packs a punch, good safety. Out there making tackles. But for the most part, pretty underwhelming. And there was really no chance to be competitive. And it's kind of surprising because you'll see a team like Bowling Green compete with Penn State, but Western Michigan can't compete with Ohio State. I think these upper echelon great teams this year, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, those three are far and away better than everybody in America. Yep, they're great. I think they're far and away better than everybody. True story. We're going to find out. We're going to find out real soon. Next game, Northern Illinois. Going out there and beating Notre Dame and doing it well. Ethan Hampton, first year starting as a quarterback, he's looked great, looked competent. I keep saying the wrong word. Looked competent, but the real talk of the town is Ontario Brown. Ontario Brown, a 1,200-yard rusher last year, comes out, gets 100 yards, essentially 100 yards, 99 yards on 20 carries, so 5 yards a carry. Look in the park. Gavin Williams spelling him. They don't care. They're just going to keep running it, bro. 45 run plays. 45 run plays. We're just going to keep the ball. We're going to slow this down and reduce the number of possessions you get. Okay. Ontario Brown, receiving. We're just going to throw it to him. He breaks for 83 yards, but he also, if you're doing the math, he also had like a 50-something yarder, right? What's that? 17? 17 and 26, 33, 43 yards? My bad, 43. 43 and 83. He gets to 126. It's good stuff. I wish they had utilized other receivers. It's hard to get open against the Notre Dame defenders. They played well on defense. Shout out to Devontae O'Malley. This is a guy right here. This is what it comes down to. You got a senior defensive lineman who's just grown and ready for the moment. Been around the block. He gets a couple sacks every year. Sometimes 4 or 5 sacks. It's not bad. Go out there and give them the business. I like it a lot. Furman obviously played great. An interception, led the team in tackles. Just a good old school linebacker type deal. But they came to play, man. And you can't be mad at them. They came to play. They got it done. On the flip side, Notre Dame. You ain't got a kicker, bro. You missed 2 field goals. It's hard to kick. It's hard to make field goals when you got one hand wrapped around your throat. Homie out there choking, bro. He's choking. Bowling Green played great. Connor Bazelak eventually played like Connor Bazelak, and they didn't win the game. That's fine. Threw 2 interceptions. Not a big deal. Didn't have their star running back either. Stewart wasn't there. Terron Stewart, great running back, didn't play. But Harold Fannin Jr. is him. Looked the part. Very impressed with Fannin Jr. Thought they played well. They played about as good as they could have played. They were in the game. Competitive. Here's one where we missed the bet. Let me explain something to you guys. I believe the spread on this, I don't remember what the spread was, but I believe the team total over for Missouri was 42. Did we miss 2 field goals or 1? 2. And that's what people don't understand is like they will watch this game, or they won't even watch the game. They will see that I missed, because I told everybody, I told the MVPs, bet on this. Missouri is going to get 42 points. Bet on the over, 42 and a half. They're getting the over. And then Missouri goes out there and misses 2 field goals, and we miss it by 4 points. I can't I can't tell you how bad that hurts, how bad that feels. You miss 2 field goals, you throw an interception, no passing touchdowns. I can't anticipate that kind of stuff. Just terrible. On the flip side, Buffalo, I told you, you don't have a real quarterback. CJ Ogbonna is not a real quarterback. 6 completions in a game. Who are you, Anthony Richardson? He just played a game and had 9. But 6, yeah. 6 completions for 55 yards. That's gross on 20 attempts. 55 yards on 20 attempts, that is not good enough, bro. That's crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. This is why I'm really believing in Missouri's defense right now. This is bad. Okay? You couldn't stop anybody from running the ball. It doesn't matter who it is. They had 5 rushing touchdowns. No matter who was running. No receiving whatsoever. No semblance of receiving because you have no quarterback. Could you imagine if you're a wide receiver on this team? You're running routes out there? Just running willy-nilly? Just, what the fuck are we doing? Kawan Lacey, I love him as a freshman, ends up fumbling. You gotta love the little guy. I like him a lot. True freshman, getting his playing time. Do your thing, but it is what it is. Sean Dolak, 16 tackles. He's going to lead the country in tackles again. He's going to lead the country in solo tackles, all this shit. Bro, I don't care. They got no semblance of offense. They look terrible. They shouldn't have won week 1. They did against Lafayette. But, yeah, they look bad, man. And shout out to Missouri, putting it all together. But those 2 missed field goals is what hurts me. My team total over misses, and then people just say Rico doesn't know. Already talked about Akron. They have a good defense. Eventually it breaks, and they didn't stop the run, so they look bad. Speaking of looking bad, Ball State wins this game. Had to come from behind to win it. Had to score 28 points in the 4th quarter to win this game. 28, bro? That's crazy. There's a total of 48 points in the 4th quarter. Go watch it. This Braden Sloan comes through in the clutch. Shout out to Sloan. Sloan is a transfer from Eastern Kentucky, and I didn't expect him to be the starting running back, but there he is. And then Pemberton is like a fucking bowling ball. He's 5'11", 240 type dude. He's just whatever. But Jakarta Wright, I was hoping he would run for more and do more. It didn't happen. Samanza lit these boys up. They went out there and got it done, throwing the ball like crazy. Impressive, I guess. I think it's bad. I think it's bad football. Ball State's still not good. Joey Stemler, my hidden gem on defense, led the team in tackles. I'm doing something right. Every time I pick a hidden gem, they all tend to be ballers out of control. It looks like I got it right. And he also had an interception. But, saving the day. Shout out to Magwood. Is Magwood a Kentucky transfer? Where's Magwood from? He's a transfer. I don't remember. Ball State looks bad. And the only person who looks worse is Kent State. I think this experiment is over. I think you have to fire Kenny Burns. And I understand. Oh, Rico, you always want to fire the black coaches. No, I just want to fire the ones that are losing to FCS teams. Kenny Burns is not a head coach, man. This is a guy who was a running backs coach at Minnesota. No experience as an offense or defensive coordinator. And then he became a head coach. The only other person I know that became a head coach with no offense or defensive coordinator experience is a guy named Deion Sanders. And when you become a head coach and you've never been an offense or defensive coordinator, you don't even have the expertise to interject during the game and make on-the-spot corrections on your coordinators. Like, you notice, Prime, he'll have his headset on, but he don't have the mic here to tell anybody what to do. No, he just got it up and he's just listening. As the offense and defensive coordinators come up with the game plan and come up with the plays and do all this stuff, he can't do anything because he has no expertise in that particular lane because he's never done it before. Kenny Burns the same way. So Kenny Burns says, no, man, I just wanted to be a head coach because I wanted to be the CEO of a program. I think I'm ready for all that other part of the job. And I think Kenny Burns misunderstands. Kenny Burns is probably really good as a director of player personnel. Maybe an evaluator of talent, like most position coaches that are really good. They're really good at evaluating talent, maybe recruiting. Maybe Kenny Burns has figured out marketing, but what he hasn't figured out is how to override his offense and defensive coordinators and get the most out of his team. He can't figure that part out. They come out here and lose to St. Francis, bro. Who are they going to beat? Who are they going to beat? Devin Cargman was named the starting quarterback. Comes out and starts. Tommy Oltokowski was the starting quarterback last year. They let him play for one throw. Kai Thomas, former 3,000-yard rusher in high school, used to be at a Minnesota. This is why he knows Kenny Burns. This is why he's here. Because he was a Minnesota recruit, couldn't get on the field in Minnesota, transferred to Kansas, couldn't really get on the field at Kansas, then transferred to Kent State to follow this coaching staff. Kenny Burns like, yo, I recruited you out of high school. You weren't good enough to play at Minnesota, but you can play here. Can he? Curtis Douglas is a good-sized kid. I think he's a sophomore running back. 6 foot, 220. He's a big kid. 220, 230 maybe. I don't know. He's a good back. Big back. Give him some carries. Let him do his thing. But either way, this isn't good enough. Look who carried the ball here. The 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks. That's it, man. 4 dudes. Receivers, the best guys on the team. Floria from last year. McCray, leading receiver from last year. These 2 guys are studs. They can get it done. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. You don't have the quarterback to get him the ball. Look at all the fumbles. Kai Thomas. Oltukowski, fumbling. I don't even care about the defense, bro. Cameron Olds can play. 2 sacks, but you were playing the FCS. You should have been out there dominating. You're playing the FCS. Oh, Rico St. Francis is a good team. Shut up. They got 63 scholarship players. You have 85. And a transfer portal that should have been extremely advantageous to you. There's players in the portal looking for playing time. Go get the right ones. Toledo, you suck. We'll never bet on you again. Tucker Gleason throws 3 touchdowns. Tucker Gleason completed 8 passes. Well, pathetic, bro. Couldn't complete his passes. Out there just missing everything. And UMass, I put this stat out for the MVPs. UMass is 2nd in the country in time of possession. 2nd in the country. They just keep the ball forever. And that's how they keep the score low. I say low, it's 38. This is crazy, man. Tyson Foreman, whatever his name is, the transfer from Clemson and Georgia Tech, goes out there, does his thing, leads the team in rushing and passing. But Toledo just laid a damn egg. And Jacquez Stewart played great in special teams, and that's what won this game was special teams. But he did not play good at running back, and they need to figure out their running game. They have no rushing attack whatsoever. Got to get the ball to Newton more than 1 reception. That's uncalled for. Newton deserves 10 targets a game. I don't know what they're doing on offense. I don't. Maybe they kept it vanilla and didn't care. Maybe there's something I don't know. But it's not good. Not impressed. A bunch of sacks. 5 sacks. Cool. Stewart running back a kickoff for a touchdown. Got it. Not impressed, man. No. They even got to the point. Where is it at? In the second quarter. They're settling for a field goal, and they're literally inside the 10. Like, what? You're Toledo, bro. You're playing UMass. Score a touchdown. Speaking of scoring touchdowns, FIU blowing out Central Michigan. Central Michigan should be embarrassed. Joe Labus throws 5 interceptions. You'll never win a game throwing 5 interceptions. I don't know why you don't bench him sooner. This is a terrible Iowa quarterback who transferred in. Not any good. Marion Lukes, you're going to lose your starting job at running back. Miles Bailey is him. Keep giving Bailey the ball. Bailey should be the starting running back. Lukes is still the guy that they want, but I would give the ball to Bailey. Parker did his thing. Bracey, the Wisconsin transfer, get him the ball more. Pruitt, get him the ball more. They're just not getting the ball to the right players, and they're getting blown out. Defensively, shout out to my hidden gem, Fernando Sanchez. He's right here. Fernando Sanchez right here. Did not look good. Terrible performance by Central Michigan, getting just blown the hell out. Terrible performance, and you miss a field goal. Didn't like it. By the way, I watched that whole game back, but I watched it for FIU, not for Central Michigan. I was loving it because I told you FIU's defense is amazing. This game really surprised me. Obviously, I told you guys whoever loses this game is going to be one of the better 0-2 teams in America, and it appears that's South Alabama. South Alabama came out and started a quarterback I've never seen before in Bishop Davenport, and haven't seen him. This was not who I thought the quarterback was going to be in this game, and it hurt them. Fluff Bothwell, one of my hidden gems on TikTok last year when he was in high school. This is a true freshman. I think he's a complete stud, and they figured it out after 2 weeks. And now he's going to be their starting running back. He's going to be their marquee running back. He's going to be the guy they ride. Fluff Bothwell. That's the guy. He looks like a monster. Love everything about Fluff. Glad he's the new running back. On the flip side, Ohio is homegrown. They don't use the transfer portal to build their team. They're homegrown. They're doing it their own way. Parker Navarro, I believe, is a UCF transfer. I believe. But Anthony Tyrus, a transfer from Northwestern. I just said they don't use the transfer portal. They don't. Starting running back, Ricky Hunt Jr. This guy's going to be the starting running back someday. Freshman. Homegrown. Hopefully he doesn't leave the school like St. Bangor did and go sit the bench at Minnesota. All the receivers kind of homegrown, doing their best. There's really nothing spectacular about this Ohio team. They're just a well-coached team. Well-coached team, and they come through. They don't make mistakes. They get it done. I like what they're doing. I don't know if I can pick them week in and week out. I don't. Congratulations, you beat South Alabama. And you put up some decent numbers against Syracuse in week 1. And losing to Syracuse, there's no shame in that after the way they beat Georgia Tech. So, Ohio's still got a chance to be relevant. Let's talk about their games next week. Central Michigan at Illinois. I'm just laughing. Cincinnati at Miami of Ohio. It's on the chart, but it's not an MVP level player or anything like that. I'm just going to tell you guys that I think Cincinnati's a better team. We'll see what happens, but I think Cincinnati's a better team. They had a very dominant lead at half over Pitt, and then they fell apart in the second half. But the way they looked in that first half against Pitt is what I expect from Cincinnati this year. Hopefully they put it all together and play a complete game, but I think they're better than Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio just lost to Northwestern. They're not good. Okay, UMass at Buffalo. Ugh. What a fucking pillow fight. Buffalo is a -4 favorite. I don't even know how we get there. I like the under in that game. Ball State at Miami. That's an MVP level lock. Ohio's got a bye this week against Morgan State. Akron's got Colgate. Better go win it. Bethune-Cookman, another easy win for Western Michigan. Eastern Michigan is only -2 over Jacksonville State. Whew, that's a tough one. I like EMU. I do. I like EMU. Better coach team. Better quarterback. I understand Jacksonville State finally found their quarterback. They're going to start this other kid, the transfer from Holy Cross, wherever he's from. Man. I like Eastern Michigan. Especially at home. Yeah, I like Eastern Michigan. Hey, by the way, in that game, I also like the under. 52.5, I like the under. I think it'll be around 40. Seriously. Toledo at Mississippi State. Mississippi State getting 11.5 points. Toledo looked terrible. So did Mississippi State. And the over-under is 59.5. I like the under all day. I like the under all day. Toledo's got a decent defense. Give me that under. I wouldn't bet on that damn game if my life depended on it. Kent State, Tennessee, I believe it's an MVP level lock. Is that shit getting up to 49? Man, Kent State, bro. Whew. That's a team that just beat NC State by like 50, right? Come on. Come on. They're going to put up 70, bro. Kent State's bad. Fire Kenny Burns. All right, I'm going to run to the chat one last time. Remember, we have Dana White Contender Series tonight at 8 o'clock. Hope to see you guys there. Let's go look at the chat one last time before we go. Put your questions and comments in there. I'll get to you, I promise. So, back to this. We probably didn't have any comments. That works for me, too. Rico, general college football question. Is Jalen Milroe in your top 5 quarterbacks? A friend of mine is trying to tell me he's top 3. Is this true? First and foremost, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. So get new friends. Secondly, Jalen Milroe plays in the SEC, and I'll be talking about the SEC on Thursday. So please come in here on Thursday and ask me that question. That's when I talk about the SEC Thursday. We go in order. ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC. That's how it works. Damn, I ain't never heard someone break down Prime like that, but it's all facts. Thank you, Cole. I tried my best. It's the reality of the situation. When you see a head coach who's never been a coordinator, they cannot interject when the coordinators are making decisions. They don't know how. They just stay quiet and they kind of stick their bottom lip out. And then their offensive coordinator quits on them and goes and becomes a head coach at San Diego State. And then they'll hire another guy. And there's nothing to say. That's why during the game he's just like this. And he gets frustrated. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate everybody for the support. We'll see you guys on the Discord server. If you're an MVP, remember, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace.